It was during the last semester of my junior year in college, when I realized that I had fallen for him. I never saw it coming. The realization came like a slow tide, gently eroding the walls I had built around my heart over the years, until there was nothing left but the truth. But of course, by then, it was too late. It always feels too late, doesn't it? His name was Adam. He wasn't the type of guy I usually went for. He was quiet, reserved, and didn't really stand out in a crowd. But there was something about him that intrigued me. Maybe it was his calm demeanor, the way he seemed perfectly content to stay in the background, observing the world rather than participating in the chaos of it. He wasn't like the loud, confident types I usually gravitated toward, but there was a depth in him that made me want to know more. We met during a group project for one of our history classes. Adam was the kind of person who didn't speak much at first, but when he did, his words were always thoughtful, well-considered. At first, I didn't think much of him. He was just another guy in a class, someone I would occasionally interact with. But the more we worked together, the more I noticed little things about him that made me want to understand him better. The way he listened when others spoke, the way his eyes lit up when he talked about the books he loved, the subtle humor he showed when no one was paying attention. There was something about Adam that felt safe. He wasn't trying to impress anyone, and that, in itself, was impressive. He was kind, thoughtful, and intelligent, but most importantly, he was real. I didn't realize it at first, but I was drawn to him. I didn't know it then, but my heart had already started to care for him, quietly, without my permission. The turning point came one evening, a few weeks before the end of the semester. We were at the local cafe, working on a paper we had both procrastinated on. It was one of those cold winter nights when the world outside feels like it's suspended in a haze of mist, and the warmth of the cafe feels like a tiny universe all on its own. We had been talking about everything and nothing. Our families, our favorite authors, the things we wanted to do after graduation. And then, without warning, he looked at me in a way he hadn't before. For a moment, the whole world seemed to stand still. His gaze was so intense, so full of something I couldn't quite name, and suddenly, I was aware of every little detail. The way his lips curled into a small smile. The way his fingers absently traced the edge of his coffee cup. It was as though I'd stepped into a dream that I knew I wasn't allowed to be in, but that I couldn't tear myself out of either. "I don't know what it is about you, Emma," Adam said softly, his voice low, almost hesitant. "You make everything feel easier. You make it feel like things can be simple." I froze. My heart raced, and suddenly the air between us felt thick, charged with something neither of us was willing to name yet. I tried to brush it off, tried to act like it was just a passing comment, but I couldn't shake the feeling that he had just told me something that changed everything. We didn't talk about it again, not directly. Instead, we went back to our usual routine of studying together, but the tension lingered, a quiet hum between us. And that was when I realized that my feelings for Adam were no longer just friendly. I had fallen for him, slowly, imperceptibly, until it became undeniable. But I was terrified. It wasn't just that I had feelings for him, it was that I had feelings for someone who might not feel the same. Adam had never given me any indication that he saw me as anything more than a friend. We were different people living different lives. And I had a nagging feeling that he didn't want to complicate things with me. He was kind, yes, but he didn't seem like the type to act on feelings, not when everything around him was so uncertain. We were both at a crossroads in our lives, unsure of what came next. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that nothing good could come of it. I had watched enough rom-coms to know how these stories go. The girl falls for the boy doesn't feel the same, and the girl spends the rest of her life wondering what might have been. But I couldn't stop my heart from wanting him. It wasn't a loud, overwhelming passion. It was the soft, quiet kind of love, the kind that sneaks up on you when you least expect it. I kept my distance, not because I wanted to, but because I thought it was the right thing to do. I stopped sitting next to him in class. I stopped making excuses to spend time with him outside of group projects. I told myself that I was doing it to protect my own heart, to keep myself from getting hurt, but in doing so, I was only hurting myself more. It all came to a head one afternoon, a few weeks before the semester ended. I had just handed in my last assignment, and we were all headed to the student union for a celebratory lunch. As I was leaving the library, I saw Adam standing by the entrance, his hands stuffed in his jacket pockets, staring off into the distance. I felt that familiar flutter in my chest. It had been a few days since we'd really talked, and I didn't know why I was suddenly so nervous to see him. "Hey," I said, walking up to him, trying to act casual. He turned to face me, and for a moment there was that same strange look in his eyes, the one that made my heart skip. He seemed to hesitate for a moment, like he wasn't sure if he should say something, and then finally he spoke. "Emma," he said, his voice uncharacteristically soft. "I've been thinking about you. About us." The words hit me like a jolt of electricity. I stood frozen for a moment, unsure of how to react. Was this really happening? "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. I wasn't sure if I even wanted to know. Adam stepped closer, his gaze fixed on me. "I've been thinking about how easy it is to talk to you, how much I enjoy our time together. I've been trying to ignore it, but I can't help. I think I've been falling for you, Emma." My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't the confession I had expected, but it was the one I had longed for. "I think I've been falling for you too," I whispered, my heart pounding in my chest. "But I didn't want to admit it. I thought you didn't feel the same. I didn't want to risk ruining what we had." He took a step closer, reaching out to gently touch my arm, his fingers warm against my skin. I didn't know how to say it either. I didn't want to make things complicated, but I couldn't keep pretending that I wasn't feeling this. For a long moment, we just stood there, the world around us disappearing, as we finally acknowledged the truth that we both had been hiding, the truth that had been quietly growing between us for months. Finally, Adam spoke again, his voice steady. "I don't know what happens next, but I don't want to leave things like this. I want to see where this can go." I smiled, a real smile, for the first time in months. "Me too," I said, feeling a warmth spread through me that I hadn't realized I was missing. And in that moment, I realized that love at its core isn't about perfect timing or waiting for everything to fall into place. It's about recognizing that the moments we share are real, even when they're messy, even when they don't make sense. Love doesn't follow a script. It doesn't always happen in the way we expect. But when it's real, it's worth the wait. After that conversation, everything changed, but in the most unexpected way. Adam and I didn't jump straight into a whirlwind romance. There were no fireworks, no immediate declarations of undying love. Instead, it was more like a slow, steady unveiling. Layers of doubt and uncertainty gradually peeling away as we spent more time together, finding comfort in the simple things we shared. We started seeing each other more outside of class, going to cafes after lectures, taking long walks through the quiet streets of the campus, and spending weekends at local parks, talking about everything and nothing. Each moment was filled with small discoveries. About each other, yes, but also about ourselves. Adam wasn't the kind of person to push for anything. He didn't expect me to hurry into something I wasn't ready for. He was patient, and that patience gave me the space I needed to let go of the uncertainty that had plagued me for so long. But there were still moments, small, fleeting moments, when I caught myself looking at him, wondering if I was truly deserving of the love he was offering. He was everything I had wanted but never thought I could have. He was steady, calm, and kind in ways that were rare to find. Yet despite all the ways he made me feel, a lingering part of me still doubted if I could trust the love that was quietly blooming between us. After all, love wasn't always the fairy tale we dreamed of in childhood. It was real, messy, and at times it felt like it was too much to handle. Then, one evening, as we were sitting in the quiet warmth of his apartment after dinner, Adam turned to me, his expression serious. His eyes locked with mine, and I could see something shifting behind them, something that mirrored my own hesitation. "I need to say something," he said, his voice low but steady. "I don't know where we're going, but I want you to know that I'm all in, Emma. I care about you in a way I've never cared about anyone, and I don't want to take this lightly. If we're doing this, if we're choosing each other, I want it to be real. No more holding back. I don't want to be afraid of what's next anymore." His words took my breath away, a quiet vulnerability in his voice that mirrored the vulnerability I had been carrying. I hadn't expected him to say it so plainly, and for a moment I wasn't sure how to respond. But I knew one thing. I had been holding back too. I had been afraid that letting go, fully, would somehow leave me exposed, too vulnerable. But in that moment I realized something important. Love was meant to be vulnerable. It was meant to be raw and messy and real. And if I didn't take this chance, I might regret it for the rest of my life. "I'm scared too," I confessed, my voice trembling slightly. "I've been afraid of falling for you because I didn't know if I could let myself. I didn't know if I could trust it, but I'm starting to. I'm starting to trust us." A small, soft smile spread across Adam's face. He reached for my hand, gently intertwining his fingers with mine. "Then we'll take it one step at a time, no pressure. Just us." And just like that, everything I had been so uncertain about seemed to fade into the background. For the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to fully embrace the present, to let go of my fears and give in to the possibility of love. It wasn't perfect, and it wasn't always easy. But it was real, and that was enough. Over the next few months, we grew together in ways I hadn't expected. We faced challenges, as all relationships do. There were moments of doubt, of frustration, and of insecurity, but there was also laughter, joy, and an undeniable sense of companionship that made everything worth it. We learned to communicate, to share our thoughts, our hopes, our dreams, and even our fears. We learned to be there for each other in ways that transcended what I had imagined love could be. Then, one evening, as we sat on the couch in his living room, wrapped in a quiet intimacy that only comes after time spent together, Adam turned to me again, his eyes filled with that same seriousness from months ago. "Emma, I know we've been taking this slowly, and I don't want to rush anything," he began, his voice steady but full of emotion. "But I've realized something I should have known from the start. I'm in love with you. I've known it for a while now, but I wanted to make sure we were both ready for it. I'm ready now, and I want you to know that I'm here. All in. I love you." His words hung in the air like a dream I had once thought was out of reach. I hadn't been expecting it, not in the way that he had said it, so calm, so sure. For a moment I was silent, taking in the weight of his confession, feeling the echo of my own heart responding in kind. And then I looked at him, my own heart finally daring to speak. "I love you too, Adam," I said softly, my voice barely above a whisper. "I've loved you for so long, but I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know if you felt the same. But now I don't want to hide it anymore. I love you." It was as if the world shifted, as if the weight of everything we had been through, all the uncertainty and the doubt, was lifted in that moment. The love that had been quietly growing between us was no longer just a dream. It was real, and it was ours. And just like that, we began to build a future together. Slowly, carefully, but with full hearts. We talked about everything, about our hopes, our fears, the life we wanted to create together. We didn't have all the answers, and we didn't need to. What we had was enough. Years passed, and the love we had only grew. We built a home, traveled together, and weathered the highs and lows of life as partners. Our relationship wasn't perfect. No love story is. But it was real, and it was built on trust, communication, and a deep unspoken understanding of one another. Looking back, I realized that falling in love with Adam wasn't the beginning of some grand, perfect fairy tale. It was the beginning of something far more beautiful, a love grounded in reality, in vulnerability, and in growth. It was a love that taught me that sometimes you have to let go of your fears and embrace the possibility of something more. And as we walked through life, side by side, I knew that this was the love I had been waiting for all along. Not the kind of love you dream of, but the kind you build, day by day, with someone who sees you, understands you, and loves you for exactly who you are.